All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Up and In Daily. I'm fired up. It's been a good morning so far. I'm here to kick it back on. I'm getting better with this. I'm starting to figure it out in my routine. I've been working with ChatGPT a lot to help me build this script. So if you see me reading off my phone, that's kind of what I'm doing. I've done all my prep work for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And I know that time will get shorter and shorter. I'm just sharing that because I'm gonna laugh one day of how kind of janky this is. But again, I'm not even judging because again, that's going to go with our mindset that we're going to talk about here today. But it is funny just trying to put all this together myself, and I'm having Abby help me a lot, which is awesome. But it's still it's a lot of my daily stuff and things that I like to do. So definitely a little bit of a chore, but I'm learning. I love it, and it's something for me. So let's kick it off today. Today's theme, I guess, be impeccable with your word, embracing the present, LeBron, Judge, MLB trends. We had a nice day yesterday on the sports book. Real-time reflections, growth, sports, calculated risk. Let's get it, boys and girls. Like I said, I was reading The Wisdom of Insecurity. So for today's mindset stuff, I'm going to tie in my 3 books that I've been reading. I've been telling you guys about The Wisdom of Insecurity, the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, and the 4 Agreements. And so I finished chapter 2 in Wisdom of Insecurity. There was a part that hit me about the human condition pretty heavily. Watts talks about how our brains are wired to cling to the past or obsess over the future, and how the mindset robs us of the now. He says most of our happiness comes from fear, or most of our unhappiness comes from fear of not being secure enough in the present. He compares it to pain and pleasure receptors in our nervous system, and we're so conditioned to project forward or dwell backward that we never just sit with what is. And for me, right now, that kind of hit me a lot because that's been really real lately. Life isn't exactly how I scripted it, but I'm learning, trying to find peace in all of the chaos. And at the same time, I'm deep into the 4 Agreements. That's one of my favorite books. It's something that I read as almost like a little bit of a Bible, I guess. When I need to. And his first agreement is be impeccable with your word, back to the theme of today's episode. And Ruiz breaks it down as impeccable, literally meaning without sin. It's from a Latin root word. He defines sin as anything you do that goes against yourself, not as the religious sin terms that a lot of us were taught and the traditional uses of sin, right? So being impeccable with your word means speaking with integrity, not just to others, but especially to yourself and your self-talk, right? And that's what I was kind of talking about in the beginning, my apartment being janky, whatever, doing this here rather than in a studio, and this idea that I made up that I need to be able to make this content, or this content's only good if I do it in a studio, whatever it is, right? That hit me kind of hard because I'm reflecting on a lot of things the last few months, especially this last month being away from the shop. Misalignment, disorganization, broken commitments. I wasn't always impeccable with my word, and neither were others. And I'm not saying that to judge anyone at all. I'm just seeing things a lot more clear, especially as things settle in for me. So to tie all this in, I pulled out a section in the 15 Commitments of the Conscious Leadership that I thought was pretty cool. And this part where it was dedicated to self-awareness, and that good leaders do that, right? And so I just kind of want to read this one little part with you guys. I kind of want to read something about in the Alan Watts one too, in the Wisdom of Insecurity. But this one here, again, sometimes I know this is corny. I don't want to feel like I'm reading to you guys, but this is from my own reflection too, and just something that I'm going to remember. But conscious leaders are passionately committed to knowing themselves. This is the basis of their willingness to regard every interaction as an opportunity to learn, and their willingness to source a state of curiosity and wonder. An astute person once said that all information falls into 3 buckets. I love this. What I know I don't know, and what I know I don't know. Through conscious leaders, we have a good grasp on what they know and are interested in what they don't know. They are inexorably drawn to what they don't know. When it comes to self-awareness, they spend their time in the unknown by opening themselves up to feedback. When most people think of feedback, they think of written or verbal comments given in performance review type settings. For us, feedback is much more than that. It's information coming to us from a limitless set of sources. For example, our bodies are giving us feedback all the time in the form of sensations and feelings, as well as perceptions and thoughts. People are also giving us feedback all the time, and the vast majority of it is never verbalized. One of our favorite and most reliable forms of feedback is results. They give us immediate feedback about what we are committed to at an unconscious level. We say under Commandment 1 that our radical responsibility is looking at your results to see what you're actually committed to. This source of feedback is a direct channel of powerful self-awareness. And earlier in the book, they talked about this girl who was getting feedback, and then she got defensive and criticized one of her leaders and attacked her about her discipline about not eating because she was clearly overweight. So she said, well, you clearly don't, care about, you're not disciplined about your eating because of the way you look, right? So they go, commitment and action. Remember our friend Sarah at the beginning of the chapter? She was a poster child for the lack of self-awareness, wonder, and curiosity. In the midst of her defensiveness, she directed her anger at Diana, telling her, I don't believe you live in this conscious leadership stuff because your body shows that you lack discipline. Sarah didn't appear to be speaking from love, but from fear and self-righteous anger, and was probably trying to hurt Diana. It would have been so easy for Diana to blow off her comment and let it go, but we've noticed that skilled conscious leaders commit to learning from all feedback, regardless of how it's given. Indeed, they learn the feedback they most react to has the most learning potential. Diana is a master of this. For this reason, it didn't surprise the people in the conscious leadership group when she posted on our webpage several weeks after her interaction with Sarah. When I was at the last foundation retreat, I got feedback from one of the participants that my body looked like I did not have discipline around food. I got really curious about the feedback. First, I giggled inside thinking that if she knew how much I wanted to eat versus what I allowed myself to eat, she would be in awe of my discipline. Food is ecstatic to me, and my lusty personality wants more and more and more. Then I got curious about what gift she was giving me, and I found that there was a whole new layer of discipline I could be experiencing around eating and caring for my form. So I've used this woman's voice as a wonderful challenge and have devoted myself to a whole different kind of discipline. It's not willful, but instead devotional. These results, or the results are surprising in that there has been a significant difference in my sensitivity, and my intuition is markedly more keen, and the shape of my body changing is wonderfully fun. So I thought that was pretty cool to show that in real time, because the wisdom of insecurity and the part that I wanted to share with you guys today kind of goes back in. And again, we're going to tie in the love part too. In this part, it talks about the typical human problem. The object of dread may not be an operation in the immediate future. It may be the problem of next month's rent, of a threatened war or social disaster, of being able to save enough for old age, or of death at the last. This spoiler of the present may not even be a future dread. It may be something out of the past, some memory of an injury, some crime or indiscretion, which haunts the present with a sense of resentment or guilt. The power of memories and expectations is such that for most human beings, the past and the present are not as real, but more real than the present. The present cannot be lived happily unless the past has been cleared up and the future is bright with promise. And then he goes on to say, if my happiness at this moment consists largely in reviewing happy memories and expectations, I'm but dimly aware of this present. I shall still be dimly aware of the present when the good things that I have been expecting come to pass. For I shall have formed a habit of looking behind and ahead, making it difficult for me to attend the here and now. If then my awareness of the past and future makes me less aware of the present, I must begin to wonder whether I'm actually living in the real world. I thought that was kind of deep and cool. And then just one last part. Actually, I don't need to read that part with you guys, but the impeccable with your word and the 4 agreements really talks about some of the poisons that we have as society and the words that we say, right? So things like gossip, he equates to a computer hacker that infiltrates your code, like the conversations that you have are normal, right? Somebody is complaining about a boss, and the analogy that he used or whatever is a student going into their first college class and a friend or a peer right before the class walking up to them and saying, hey, that teacher sucks, they're a jerk, they suck, whatever, right? They do this bad. Then that person going in there and having that filter and seeing that lens through that person's view, and then having an experience shared with somebody else's view that stemmed from toxicity, right? So, and that person's toxicity could have stemmed from maybe getting a bad grade, failing a test, or maybe some shit that was going on at home, right? So I think that shows that gossip, misery loves company, right? And it's like, when you're feeling bad inside, that's when gossip happens, and you try to connect with people through that toxicity, and that's really just toxic fear. So the impeccable of your word is really just being clean about what you're talking about and being intentional about your words and making sure you're focused on what's going on inside you versus other people. And so I thought that was really cool and tied it all in with the conscious leadership stuff. So again, good mindset stuff, had me in the right mindset this morning and got me locked in because It was a good sports day yesterday. We got a good sports day ahead today. I'm fired up. We got baseball again all morning and all afternoon throughout the day. But first, around the NBA, unfortunately, my guy LeBron is done. Lakers lost to the T-Wolves last night. Luka hurt his back, but he still came back, scored 28. LeBron talked a lot about maybe the next steps in his career. I don't think he's done yet. But of course, Stephen A. Smith's probably going to have a field day, and all the talk shows are going to love talking about this, and LeBron, the GOAT, all that, his legacy. So that'll probably be all over the headlines the next couple of days. The Warriors nearly erased a 30-point deficit, but they wound up losing still to the Rockets last night in Houston. Houston leads or trails that series 3-2 to the Warriors. I think the Warriors are still going to come away with that one, and it's going to be pretty crazy to see them if they make a run. It's going to be wild. Around the MLB, Cardinals swept a doubleheader over the Reds yesterday, who we were heavy on. That really screwed us. Michael King continued to impress for the Padres. They won 5-3 yesterday. He's looking like Cy Young for him. He's 4-1 on the year. He's having a Cy Young type breakout. Noah Cameron for the Royals took a no-hitter into the 7th inning in his MLB debut. That's pretty badass. If you go look at the highlights now, as with any no-hitter in baseball, you need some luck, right? So the Royals played some really good defense behind him, including a play by Bobby Witt that I think might be the player of the year. The dude did a full extension into the outfield grass, gets up, throws a piss missile to first base, gets a guy by a step who's a good runner too. So Bobby Witt's the greatest. That was really fun to watch. Aaron Judge, guys, hit another home run, 10th on the year, got 31 ribbies. He's batting 420 plus, something like that, 427, I think. He's on my fantasy team. I don't think we talk about this enough. He's doing like only things that Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig have done. And he's batting over 400, and he's been batting over 400 for a month. So I'm really interested to see the things that Aaron Judge is going to continue to do, if he's going to be able to keep this pace up. Maybe he has. Maybe he is turned into that hitter and has become this guy that everybody thought he could be, right? This colossal dude that now knows how to just punch balls to right field when that's all they're going to give him, right? And then know when to take some swings and be a little bit more aggressive at the plate. So fun to see him come and turn into that type of hitter. And I mean, I have him on my fantasy team, so a guy batting 420 month into the season, I'm happy with that. Panthers and Capitals both closed out their series yesterday around the NHL. The Jets are leading their series 3-2 over the Blues. So that's our quick recap on the three major sports. I guess football is doing its own thing. They just had the draft, so you guys know all about that. All right, calculated risk, real quick. Let's get into a recap. Yesterday, good day. Had a nice 2.6 unit increase. That's good because we needed to finish April strong, because I told you guys I was a little all over the place travel. I think I took 4, 5, 6 days off. So whenever that happens and you're betting in volume, like that can ruin a whole month, as far as the overall P&L. I'm not making excuses. But March, we had a great month. We were up 15 units. In April, I think I went down 12 units. So still a net +3. I got to look at the exact April numbers, but not my best. I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that in baseball, because that was some of my NBA stuff. But my baseball bets are still trending in the right direction. Reds read was off yesterday. Really the only one that I was kind of wrong on. The Reds got shut out in the first game 6-0, and we thought they were going to have a nice day for the day game. We were looking at some of those stats. Ellie didn't do anything that we thought. He got a hit and he stole 2 bases, so he was doing Ellie things, but nobody else did anything. So they got blanked in both. Pete Alonso, we lost that one technically, but dude was on base 4 different times. He had 3 walks and a hit by pitch, so he didn't get any hits. They were pitching around him a bit. And it seems like they made the right moves, right? Because the Mets only scored 3 runs. Corbin Burns got his first win of the year. They had to sweat it out at the end. And I thought maybe he was going to get a hit at some point in that mix, or somebody could drive him in maybe on a couple of those times. But we had the right logic, just didn't have the payout, right? It's part of the risk of the calculated risk, but put ourselves in a position to win. And we did good on a lot of other things throughout the day. The Dodgers killed it. Shohei did it. We hit on Ellie's stolen base and Shohei's stolen base, so that did really well for us. 2.5 times our money on each of those pretty much. So that, good day on the books, and we got another one today. So games are starting in about an hour and a half here in Central Time. So I'm actually going to, this is my first time, I'm going to try to share my screen with you guys. So you guys will get a little insight into my betting tips, or how I kind of look at information and the way that I kind of break down kind of some stats, or the way that I'm like analyzing the game and seeing trends. So maybe you guys can start picking up your own information or ways that you like to break down stuff. And then eventually get to the point that you're doing your own picks on your own way, or watching games and breaking it down the way that you like to do based on, maybe things you heard me say. And again, guys, this is never financial information. I'm never telling you guys to take these bets. This is also money that you should be able to play with, that you are willing to lose. Although it's a calculated risk, we're going to go on cold streaks. We are going to lose bets. We are going to lose money. That's going to happen, right? So I want to make sure that this is all money that you can afford to lose. With that said, let's dive in. All right, the first one that I did notice, so you'll see here, guys, the first thing that I kind of do in the day is I go immediately to swishanalytics.com. They have a tool that allows you to look at the batter and pitcher matchups, right? This is the historical data between the batter and the pitcher. This is a big thing, right? Because as a pitcher, when I was playing, I would want to know what success do I have against this guy? What success does he have against me? I would go look at my notes and I'd be like, okay, I remember last year when we came here, at this stadium, he actually did really well at their place, and I didn't pitch great that day, but I also pitched him with a few curveballs and stuff like that, and he got a blue pit, so even though the numbers look good, I actually felt really good about that. I'm going to pitch him this way, right? So some of this stuff I can tell by numbers, and that's why I'm going to break down how I look at that stuff too, specifically, because you can see a guy be 10 for 28 like Gleyber Torres right here, but he's got 70% of his hits are singles, right? Not bad, actually. A homer and 2 doubles, that's actually not bad. If he's doing well in the last 7 days, he would be somebody that I'd be looking at for total bases or probably hits, runs, or RBIs. Now, if there's another, or like Jarren Duran today, right? So Jarren Duran is somebody that I'll probably be laddering for hits, runs, RBIs, or probably total bases, since Jose Berrios is a good pitcher. And he might have some success against the other guys in the Red Sox lineup. So with Duran having 9 hits in 18 ABs against Jose Berrios, but half of those hits are extra base hits, including 5 doubles and 3 homers, I really like total bases. So he's hitting 500 against the dude, but look at this. He is slugging 1.2, right? Over 1,000 or 1,200, however you say that in slug world. I don't even know how they say that anymore. But yeah, he's slugging over 1,000 against Berrios. So I like total bases for Jarren Duran. And then I really like it, and I will be even more convicted because if you go look at the last 7 days, I noticed that Jarren Duran on the Fantasy Pros, he's batting .393. He's got a homer and 6 RBIs, right? And he's also scored 6 runs. So that tells me he's in a position to be a hits, runs, RBIs candidate today. Also Bregman, Devers, also on this list of success, right, against Berrios. Never mind. They don't have success against him. So actually, see, this is like another thing where I'd be like, you know what? Maybe total bases makes the most sense for Duran. He's heating up right now. All it takes is a double, right? Usually you have a little bit of better odds in total baseland than hits, runs, RBIs, because it's obviously easier to get a combination of 3 hits, runs, RBIs. Vladdy is also heating up right now, so him against Tanner Houck, and Tanner Houck is also struggling this year, isn't being in form, so 2 of his 7 hits were doubles. Don't love it, but again, hits, runs, RBIs, maybe Tanner pitching around him, also Tanner not having success this year, maybe the guys around him will drive him in if he's on base, right? So I like a Vladdy play here, but normally what I'll do is I'll immediately go to home runs and look at the guys that are hitting home runs first. So Semien's got 3 homers and he's batting .462. He has no doubles, but 3 of his home runs of his 6 hits off of Jeffrey Springs are home runs. So in a calculated chaos parlay, Marcus Semien home run or a no sweat home run might be a nice little play here. Let's see, 3 home runs. Bregman's got 2 against Berrios, but not a lot of hits and batting .241, so I'll be staying away from him, even though I know he's been hitting well lately and having a nice year. Nolan Arenado is hitting well lately. Andrew Abbott, he's had some success against, 2 home runs of his 4 hits. Let's see, Gleyber, we already talked about. Now I'd be going to doubles, right? So I want to see. Duran is definitely getting a total bases today. Duran is a lock for our total bases now that I'm feeling confident about two doubles there. Rafi has 2 homers and 2 doubles and 7 hits, but he's only batting .184. So he's got 7 hits and 38 at-bats. I feel like Jose Berrios has a pretty good feeling that he can get him out. That would be something where if Rafi is on fire right now, I might look at him to hit a home run or something like that. But let's see. I think he is actually doing pretty well lately. Yeah, look, Rafi's batting 308 with 3 homers. So maybe a Rafi Devers and Semien combo for a no sweat for home runs. That might be a calculated chaos play. Since Pete Alonso didn't get hits, runs, RBIs yesterday, I might not hate doubling down today on hits, runs, RBIs. Zach Gallen is on my fantasy team. Buddy is struggling this year too. So yeah, let's see. That might be something too to look at. If Pete didn't do it yesterday, he's been hitting well lately. And again, if you're on base 3 times, he was quoted saying he's more locked in now than he's ever been, maybe since his junior year of college when he got drafted in the 2nd round out of Florida. So that gives me some confidence. Let's see, Lindor. All right, Lindor's probably going to be on base in front of him, right? But maybe not Soto. Soto's batting 182 against Gallen. So maybe total bases for Petey Alonso. Let's see what else. All right, so after that, then I would just go confirm and go to slugging and just see if there's anybody else with limited sample size. Because if you're looking at a 4,000 slug, it's probably because it's a short sample size, right? So Kyle Farmer in 1 at-bat has 1 home run against Justin Verlander. Now, if Kyle Farmer is on this list in the top 10, that might be something to look at too, right? Where somebody is doing really well in the last 7 games, and in their limited sample size against the starter, they have success, and especially slugging success, because it's not just a dump base hit, right? It means that they saw him well and they got aggressive, and they either hit a double, triple, or homer, right? So that would be something I'm looking at. Torkelson against Kikuchi, but I know Tork's been struggling lately. Manzardo, he's having a nice little year, so that might be something. Tyler Fitzgerald. Josh Young on Jeffrey Springs has a home run a single, okay. All right, nothing else really jumping out like crazy, so I like Duran so far. I like Duran for total bases. We like Semien for total bases, maybe. Ooh. Brian Reynolds. Colin Ray, yeah. I like Brian Reynolds hits, runs, RBIs. We probably have to just double check how Brian Reynolds. And so, guys, this is what my options are here. I'll go, if I want to see how Brian, and I don't have him on that list, to go a little quicker, you can go to stats here, Pittsburgh Pirates. You can filter this, all stats last 7 days. Brian Reynolds is batting 125 over the last 7 days. We're going to stay away from that one. As quoted by my guy, Matt Williams, one of my betting gurus that I like to follow and get advice from, always look for a reason not to take a bet. That's the way you stay ahead in this world, or at least stay above water, and that way you're not chasing things, right? So today I'm actually going to go really dive into the Pete Alonso thing before I chase it again. I'm going to go look for a reason not to take that bet. So really I'm going to dive into how does Zach Gallen pitch at the Mets Stadium, because they're on the road right now. So if he has some success at the Mets Stadium, then I will probably most likely stay away from Pete Alonso, because there's not enough people around him, like with Soto. I like Lindor. He's been hot right now. Vientos is also hot. I don't know. It's weird. But again, I'm looking for a reason not to take a bet until something really jumps out at me, like Duran, where I was like, okay, I'm convicted. These are the things, and that's a calculated risk for me, right? So Brian Reynolds batting 125, I think that says, yeah, in his last 7. Yeah, we're out on that. We're out. All right, so Brian Reynolds is out. And then what I do is I would basically go here, and I'm not going to do that all on the first screen for you guys, but again, I just want to give you some insight into the way that I think and some of the ways that I'm leaning towards my picks. This is the last 7 days hitters. So without any historical data against the starters, if I'm looking for some extra action on somebody that's doing really well, like a Jorge Polanco, who is batting 529 with 5 homers in his last 7 games, I'm probably going to look for an area to take for him, knowing he's hot. So what I would do is go check who he is hitting against today, pitching-wise, see how they've done in their last 7 days. Probably their last 3 starts is what I would check. And if there's any struggle with that starter in the first 5 innings, I would definitely be going to lean and maybe taking a little sprinkle on Jorge Polanco, or maybe like his team's team runs in the first 5 innings against that starter, because we're assuming Jorge is going to be in the action somewhere, and the people around him are going to be helping. And if the starter is struggling in his last 3 starts and struggles in the first 5 innings, that would be an opportunity to look into maybe a first team an over first 5 team total. That's a lot to say out loud. So again, those are the things that I'll be looking for. And if you guys aren't following me on Pickett, make sure you download the app Pickett. Use the code Ranaudo when you guys sign up. link your Venmo or your PayPal, and then as long as you make 10 bets, or you link a sports book that has made 10 bets before, you're going to get a bonus between $3 and $100. It'll be a random bonus, and it'll just throw it in your Venmo. And I'll also get a bonus. So I appreciate that. If you guys go do that, that would help me out a lot. And free money is free money, right? So, and Pick It is one of the best apps that I've ever used for betting. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Make sure you guys are following me on there, because as soon as I make a bet, you guys can see all of my bets in real time. And then sometimes I post on the social feed there, and I'll give you a background of why I'm betting. So yesterday I took a live bet of the Dodgers right after the first inning, and I didn't post it, but at times what I'll do is I will attach my stats or why that's happening. Hey, first inning, Dodgers didn't score. The books have changed. The odds are favorable now. They still have 4 innings, blah, 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 right? And that's why I took it. And I wound up hitting it live because I didn't like the odds before the game. They were too juiced. It was way too high. I wound up all hitting, but it was just too high for me to take in the way that I liked it. So I waited. I watched the first inning, and somehow Cal Quantrill got out. Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie won 3 up, 3 down. And so when the Dodgers didn't score that first inning, the runs went from 3.5 in the first 5 to 2.5, and it was almost even money. And I grabbed it then. The next inning they scored 2. Next inning they scored 2. Hit that one by the third inning, and then I had the game, or the Dodgers, over at 4.5. And I should have taken 5.5 because it was a little bit more even money, but still took it live after that because that's when the odds changed and it put it in my favor. I still felt the same about the game, and I was watching Cal Quantrill. He's falling off a little bit. His head's tilting. He's yanking his curveball. I'm like, he's got to throw his fastball to these guys. He's not going to make it through the second time through the order, just throwing heaters to the Dodgers, right? And the Dodgers are going to know that if I can see it. So that's what I bet on. Love that one yesterday, so that one hit. Yeah. So that's it, guys. I'm going to put my official picks out on Pick It. Make sure you guys go follow me there. Again, use code Ranaudo, Ranaudo, for some free money. And go follow my picks. We got baseball all day. I'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you guys stay in the present. Enjoy your days. Love and happiness. Peace. Enjoy your days.